Hey there. So today I am out in the garden starting one of the most rewarding tasks there probably is in gardening, and that is mulching. I usually save this for a little later in the year, but I just felt like the garden kind of needed just a little freshen up. So I'm gonna get some mulch going out over all of the beds, and I think it's just gonna really, do what mulch does and make everything look nice and clean. I'm also, of course, sweeping because sweeping is what I do. If you've been around here, somehow I'm always sweeping. Although I may even put some of the mulch in some of my containers. I'm thinking that might help with some of the splashback of the dirt, which is part of why I am often sweeping. So that's on the agenda for today. I'm actually really excited to get this. Here's a little before look of what it looks like before mulch. There's still some leaves, a little bit of cleanup I should probably be doing here, but yeah, I think getting a little mulch in this area is gonna be just really, really good. And I think that it's gonna make, just everything look fresh and clean and tidy, which is what we're going for. So I'm gonna get to work. All right, I got the first layer of mulch down for today. I think I'm gonna call it there and go do a few things inside, and then I'll come back out and do the rest of the cleanup, but it's looking really good. There is just nothing like fresh mulch to freshen up a space. I will talk more about this kind of mulch that I use, but for now, I've got it all laid out and I will be back. All right, so it is the next day, getting back out here. I swept everything up. It's looking so nice. And once you get everything cleaned up like this, I feel like it really showcases all of the beautiful things that are still growing right now. So I ended up putting some mulch in the containers, which I think just kind of cleaned the whole thing up. And then it really brings out like the beauty of these not squash. Can't believe I called them squash, cabbages. And the collard greens, they just look so fresh and pretty. Everything looks tidy. It makes my heart super happy. You can notice things like, oh my gosh, the violas here. Aren't these just gorgeous? Oh, I love them. I've got to stay on top of the deadheading, but they are just so pretty. Really fun. So yeah, I'm liking it. It's looking really, really nice. It brightened up the whole thing. As you can see, I've got my tripod here, but it just sort of like lightened up and brightened up the garden. I typically like the look of dark mulch. I think that dark mulch looks so like fresh and really tidy and really nice, but I have actually switched over to using these lighter mulches. This is a cypress mulch. I think I used cedar in the spring, and with the pine mulches, my goal is to help reduce the slug population. I have so many slugs in my garden. I'm just keeping an eye on my daughter. She's over there. If you hear there's a spooky bat in the garden, that's her playing around. But I have just a huge slug problem. We are a very wet, humid climate. There's, lots of leaves and things, this garden is never going to be perfectly spotless as far as leaves and stuff like that. And with our humidity and our rain, we're always going to have like that just perfect kind of slug snail environment. It's just perfect for them. And I like to mulch my garden, but that's just like the perfect home for a slug or a snail. It's basically creating like their ultimate place to live. And I've tried putting down, I do put down slug bait throughout the year. I've tried some of the beer traps. I haven't really gotten into that. I probably should look into doing that more. But I've just struggled with having the slugs and snails. And so last year I tried some cedar mulch and noticed a really big difference. I'll probably put cedar mulch back on the garden in the spring when I mulch again. You know, it didn't take care of the slug problem, but definitely, like, there were still slugs, there were still snails. By the end of the season, as that mulch was kind of decomposing and stuff, I noticed that they came back a bit, but it did help. There were fewer, because I have had years where just I was overrun with slugs and snails. And so these like pine mulches, they seem to help and kind of repel it. Now, as I said, it's not going to totally get rid of your problem, and it is a different look. Like, it is, you can see, very like light and bright, which I don't know. You know, sometimes I look at it and I'm like, wow, that's really bright. Like, I don't know about that. But on the other hand, I have a very like kind of enclosed small garden. So I think that sometimes it's kind of nice to have this bright like lightness, because it just sort of brightens up the whole space. And I think it looks pretty in the containers. So I just popped some of it in the top. Like, these are my containers where I have bulbs. And so I figured, you know what? I had them kind of just in the corner of the garden, but I figured I'd bring them out. They're kind of cute. And when they're mulched like this, it almost looks like straw or something is in them, to be honest. But yeah, it just kind of creates a nice look. I'm enjoying the look of this in the garden, and I've been working really hard on trying to figure out, you know, the best arrangements for containers, because it can be kind of hard, and I'm liking this. I'm thinking in the summer I'll probably pop the bulbs and stuff out of these, store them, and then maybe put in some annuals in these little pots like this, maybe do some herbs and things, because I think it's kind of nice. And I'm always working to make sure I have room to walk through the garden, but yeah, I like the look of it. So anyways, here it is, all mulched. I did leave this corner unmulched because I've been spreading a little bit of my used potting soil in that corner just to make use of it and to build that corner up a little bit, because it is pretty low. That's like the lowest spot in my garden. So it's been, you know, that's just a way to use some of that soil and build it up. I want to plant my Mexican sunflowers in this corner again, like I did this year. So I figured that even using the spent soil, it would at least give a little bit more for those plants to grab onto and grow into. So that's why I didn't mulch that corner, because I just figured, you know what, I'll leave it and then fill it in, and yeah, and then I'll put compost and stuff in there in the spring when I'm ready to do some more planting. So anyways, that's the garden all freshened up. It's just super rewarding. It's super nice to clean the garden up like this. I always love it once it looks fresh and clean. Anyways, thanks so much for hanging out. I hope you're having a great day in your garden, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.